During World War I, the French government actively provided prostitutes for its troops on a grand scale. While not officially mentioned in military documents until at least the 1920s, records show that a government-run association dedicated to coordinating mobile military brothels existed as early as 1901, with an official address at 73 Rue de Nazareth in Paris. During World War I, these mobile facilities, literally large trailer trucks known as BMCS, could accommodate up to 10 working women on the front lines of war. The mass of young men being sent to the front lines drove demand, and more prostitutes and pimps followed. Not only did the authorities provide its own sanctioned army of professional sex workers, but local girls around the camps and battlefields also resorted to prostitution in these times of desperation. Demand usually peaked before the major battles. French doctor and author Léon Bizard wrote in his memoirs of the WW1 French Maison Tolérée, "You could find anything you wanted in the brothels in the surrounding area and at the camps. It was a melee, a hard, dangerous and disgusting business, all under the constant threat of air raids and bombardments." Aside from being key to maintaining control over large amounts of battle-worthy men, there were other motivations for providing troops with sanctioned prostitutes. With the arrival of indigenous units from the colonies on the French mainland, the deployment of sanctioned brothels were partly driven by racist and classist motives to prevent interracial relationships from occurring with local French white women. But perhaps one of the most urgent motivations for the military overseeing the sexual activity of its soldiers was to control STD rates. Whilst the crashing hail of bullets and shells killed on the battlefields of war, syphilis was the silent killer. With an estimated syphilis rate of 30% among the military during WWI, something had to be done. Attempts to trace infections by pressurizing both men and women failed, and as early as 1915, the French military doctors had set up treatment centers for soldiers, while the regulated brothels were subject to regular medical inspections. During World War II, the Japanese enslaved and trafficked as many as 410,000 women they called comfort women from Japan, Korea, China, and Southeast Asia to serve as prostitutes and raise the spirits of the Japanese soldiers. It's thought that approximately 3/4 of them died, and most survivors were left infertile. Traffickers and profiteers were tricking girls with fake promises for jobs, and in some cases, government and traffickers worked together to put women originally drafted for forced labor into prostitution. In the newly conquered colonies like Vietnam or Indonesia, comfort women were more directly obtained by collaboration between the army and traffickers who followed the army. It was an open secret that the US military made use of the comfort women system in Japan following the end of the war. As the US forces and Australians, who originally occupied Hiroshima and surroundings before handing over to the Americans, entered Japan, provisional leaders feared that local women might be subjected to mass rape. Prince Konoe Fumimaro, who served as Japan's prime minister, insisted that comfort stations be made available to arriving troops of the post-war occupation. Adverts appeared in Japanese newspapers seeking prostitutes to provide sexual services to the arriving US troops, who would come to know these women as geisha girls, which further fueled the misunderstanding of geishas as prostitutes in the West.